Christmas morning. The smell of cinnamon rolls, pine needles, and betrayal. Everyone was gathered around the fireplace, laughing, unwrapping gifts, sipping hot cocoa like we were the perfect family straight out of a Hallmark movie. My wife, Brittany, was glowing too much, honestly. Her makeup was flawless at 7 a.m., and her phone hadn't left her hand once. I chalked it up to holiday excitement. Then Haley, Brittany's younger sister, the loudmouth with no filter, clapped her hands like a game show host. I got everyone a little surprise, she grinned, pulling out a stack of custom t-shirts. One by one, she handed them out. Jason, world's best uncle. Karen, queen of sass. Dad, barbecue master. Everyone was laughing and cheering. Then she turned to me, still grinning, and tossed me mine. I opened it. It read in bold red letters. Top one loser in the world. Silence hit the room for half a second. Then came the laughter. Not the playful kind. The cruel kind. Even Brittany. Especially Brittany. She laughed so hard, she had to wipe tears from her fake lashes. I stood there, holding that shirt, trying to decide if this was some kind of inside joke I'd missed. Maybe a reference to something? That's when Haley smirked and said the line that snapped my spine like drywood. I feel so sorry for my sister having to share her husband with you while you're on work trips. Now she knows what real pleasure is. My chest caved in. I looked over at Brittany, praying she'd say something, anything to shut her sister down. She just shrugged and said, "He's not that useless. He's good at cooking and cleaning." And then she sipped her wine at 10 a.m. like she was the goddamn queen. Everyone laughed again. My ears were ringing. My heart? Numb. I didn't say a word. I walked out into the garage, picked up my wrench, my pliers, my set of precision screwdrivers, put them in my old leather tool bag like I'd done 100 times before. But this time, I wasn't going to fix a damn thing. I got in my truck. Didn't even slam the door. Just drove. 3 hours later, I parked at an empty trailhead. No signal. No people. Just wind, trees, and the growing echo of every fake laugh I'd heard that morning. When I finally got back to cell service later that night. 223 missed calls and messages. From Brittany. From Haley. From our friends. Even her mother. One message stood out. "Please answer. It was a prank." A prank? Is that what you call public emasculation now? I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled into the 24-hour pharmacy, bought 3 DNA kits, and drove home like a ghost. I walked in around midnight. Brittany was asleep, or pretending to be. I didn't say a word. Just kissed my kids goodnight and took a hair sample from each. She didn't stir once. She didn't notice me send those kits off the next day. She didn't see the storm coming. But she would. Soon. Very soon. You ever look back and realize all the red flags were right there? Not subtle. Not hidden. Just waving in your damn face while you smiled like an idiot and called it love? That was me. Before the shirt. Before the t-shirts and the laughter and Haley's twisted little smirk, there were signs. But I ignored them because I didn't want to believe Brittany could be the woman who'd do that to me. Not the mother of my kids. Not the girl I married after 6 years of friendship and 3 years of dating. But let me rewind. Back to when it all started feeling off. It began small. Brittany started spending more time at yoga. At first, I didn't question it. She'd always liked Pilates and fitness classes. But suddenly she was doing 90-minute hot yoga sessions 5 nights a week and somehow came home without even breaking a sweat. That didn't sit right with me. Then came the phone habits. She used to leave her phone everywhere, on the kitchen counter, beside the sink while she cooked, even in the bathroom when she showered. Suddenly, it was glued to her hand. Notifications silenced. Screen turned away from me. A new passcode. When I asked her why, she rolled her eyes like I was a child who just asked why the sky was blue. "It's for security," she said. "You didn't care about security when you ordered takeout on my phone last week." "God, you're paranoid," she snapped. I backed off. Like a fool. Then the joke started. Little digs about how I wasn't adventurous anymore. About how I was turning into a housewife because I liked cooking for the kids or folding laundry while I watched football. At first, I thought she was teasing. But the comments kept coming. And they got sharper. One night, we were out with her friends at a dinner party. Everyone was talking about bucket lists and wild vacations. Someone asked Brittany what her wildest adventure was. She looked straight at me and said, "Marrying this guy. I used to be fun, right?" Everyone laughed. I laughed too. Because what else could I do? Start a fight at a dinner table? But in that moment, something cracked. I saw it in her eyes, the way she wanted to humiliate me. Like hurting me gave her a rush. Then came the late-night showers. The sudden need for space. The night she went out with the girls and came back with makeup smeared and hair tousled, claiming they just got drinks and danced. One night I asked her, "Britt, do you love me?" She didn't answer right away. Just looked at me with that same blank, bored expression she'd started wearing like a second skin. "I'm tired," she said, and turned over in bed. That was the moment I felt it deep in my chest, the slow, quiet death of something I once believed was unbreakable. But I still didn't leave. I still stayed, still kissed her good morning, still made pancakes for the kids like nothing was wrong. Because when you build a life around someone, even when it starts to rot from the inside out, you cling to the frame, hoping it's salvageable, hoping it's still home. But it wasn't. It hadn't been for a long time. And that Christmas morning, with that t-shirt, that joke, that smirk, it wasn't the start of the betrayal. It was just the first time she let me see it. Unfiltered. Unapologetic. Like she wanted me to know. Like she was daring me to do something about it. Well, Brittany, if it's a game you wanted, you're about to learn just how much I've got left to play. The envelope was thin. Ordinary. Just my name, printed in bold black letters. No drama. No thunder. No, this will wreck your entire life warning sticker. Just a normal white envelope that felt heavier than it should have. 3 days had passed since Christmas. Brittany still hadn't apologized, not really. She tried to laugh it off again the next morning. "You know Haley's sense of humor," she said, sipping her green smoothie. "She was just being her usual dramatic self." "And the part where you called me a glorified maid?" I asked. She blinked. "Oh, come on. You know I was joking." But the thing was she wasn't. There wasn't a trace of guilt in her eyes. If anything, she looked proud. Like she'd finally said what she'd been thinking all along. So I waited. Waited for the results that could either put my soul to rest or split it clean in two. That morning, I took the envelope to the garage, closed the door, sat on the workbench with trembling fingers. It was freezing in there, but I barely noticed. I tore it open. 3 envelopes inside. 1 for each child. 1 for Emma. 1 for Lucas. 1 for Ava. Each report was short, clinical, cold, and every single one said the same thing. Paternity not confirmed. I stared at the words for so long they stopped making sense. I read them again and again. The letters didn't change. Neither did the result. None of them were mine. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Time went flat. Sound evaporated. I just sat there, gripping those papers like they could morph into something else if I squeezed hard enough. My kids. My babies. The ones I fed, bathed, stayed up with when they had nightmares. The ones who ran to me when they fell. The ones I taught to ride bikes. Who cried in my arms. Who called me daddy. Not mine. That phrase kept echoing in my skull like a gunshot in an empty church. A part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to laugh. I didn't do either. I just stood up, walked back inside, and made breakfast like it was any other day. Pancakes. Blueberries. A bit of whipped cream on top, Emma's favorite. I kissed each of them on the forehead as I served their plates. Brittany strolled in wearing leggings and a smug grin. "Look at Superdad go," she said, ruffling my hair like I was a damn pet. "You sure know your place." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt something shift in me. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Clarity. I smiled. "I need to run an errand later," I said. "Mind keeping an eye on the kids for a few hours?" Yeah, she said, already scrolling on her phone. "Just don't take too long. I've got yoga." Yoga? Sure. I left the house, sat in the truck, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like a man with nothing left to lose. That night, after the kids were in bed, I poured us both a glass of wine. She raised an eyebrow. "What's the occasion?" she asked. I handed her the envelope. "What's this?" "Open it." She pulled out the first paper, scanned it. Her smirk vanished. One by one, she read them. Emma, Lucas, Ava. She looked up at me, eyes wide. "Where the hell did you get these?" "I think the real question is, who the hell are their fathers?" Her mouth opened, closed. Then she laughed. "You're being ridiculous. DNA tests can be wrong. And what? You did this behind my back? That's psychotic. 3 times? All wrong? Come on, Brittany. Try harder." She slammed the papers on the table. "You're insane." "No, Britt. I'm awake now. And God help her, because I wasn't going back to sleep." She stood there, frozen. The papers still on the table between us like a loaded weapon. Her wine untouched. Mine half empty. "Say something," I said. Brittany finally scoffed, tossing her blonde curls over her shoulder like the drama bored her. This is pathetic. What? You're going to throw away our whole family over a stupid test? A stupid test that says not one of the kids is mine? I said calmly, almost too calmly. You think this is about a test, Brittany? You think that's what broke this? She rolled her eyes and leaned on the kitchen counter. God, you're such a martyr. Always playing the victim. Maybe if you weren't gone so much, you'd have noticed what was going on. So you're admitting it? She paused. And then, with a sick smile, she said it. Fine. You want the truth? You really want it? I didn't answer. Just stared. I was bored, Jason. You were always working. You'd come home tired, talk about invoices, deadlines, how tired you were. And I'd be here, stuck with diapers and your frozen meatloaf. You were predictable. You mean loyal. Predictable, she repeated coldly. And I needed more. I deserved more. So yeah, I found it. I found men who knew how to have fun, how to make me feel alive. I felt like my chest was caving in. But I didn't flinch. Not yet. And the kids? I asked, voice low. You let me raise them. You let me believe they were mine. They're yours, emotionally, she snapped. You think DNA changes that? You're the one who tucked them in. You're the one who coached Lucas's soccer team. My jaw tightened. You used me. Oh, please, she said, crossing her arms. Don't act like you're a saint. You got a beautiful wife, healthy kids, a nice house. And you're still crying because what? Your ego got bruised. My ego. I took a step closer. No. My heart got burned to ash. That's different. She rolled her eyes again and muttered, God, men are so dramatic. And then I saw it. That flicker. The tiny flash of panic in her eyes as she realized I wasn't shouting. I wasn't pleading or throwing furniture. I was calm. Too calm. Where are you going with this, Jason? She asked, voice a notch lower. I smiled. Nowhere. Her brow furrowed. Then why are you looking at me like that? Because for the first time in years, I see you clearly. She scoffed again. You're not going anywhere. You don't have the balls. You'll cry a bit, sleep in the garage for a few days, and then crawl back to this table like always. No, I said, leaning forward, lowering my voice. I'm not crawling back this time. She blinked. What does that mean? I already spoke to a lawyer. Now she laughed. Full belly laugh, hand on her hip. You? Divorce me? Good luck. This is my house. I'm the kid's mother. You've got no case. Actually, I've got DNA results, proof of infidelity, and 3 recorded conversations. One of which includes you laughing with Haley about how dumb I am. The blood drained from her face. Yeah, I said, nodding. That's the look I was waiting for. You? Recorded me? You record me with your disrespect every damn day. Consider it fair. She stepped back, suddenly unsure. Her confidence cracked, and underneath was fear. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. But in that moment, she knew I wasn't playing house anymore. I was burning it down. She slammed the bedroom door so hard the pictures on the hallway wall rattled. For the first time in our marriage, Brittany didn't have a comeback. No smug grin. No eye roll. Just retreat. And that told me more than her words ever had. She was scared. And not of me, but of losing control. The kids were asleep upstairs, unaware that the illusion holding their world together had just shattered. I sat on the couch for a while, letting the silence breathe. I thought maybe she'd come back out. Maybe she'd fake some tears, try to twist it all around. But nothing. An hour passed. Then 2. Eventually, I got up and went to the guest room. I couldn't sleep, but I needed space. Somewhere she couldn't pollute with her perfume and her lies. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. The creak of the floorboards. Bare feet. A soft knock at the guest room door. I didn't answer. The knob turned slowly, and Brittany stood there in one of my old t-shirts. The one she used to borrow when she wanted to pretend things were normal. Can we talk? She whispered. I didn't move. I messed up, she said, stepping inside. I know that. And I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I didn't think you'd actually leave. I raised an eyebrow. You didn't think I'd leave after you admitted the kids aren't mine? She bit her lip, dropped her eyes. They still need you, Jason. They needed honesty. And you gave them a fantasy. She sat on the edge of the bed, her voice soft, calculated. I was scared. I thought if I told you the truth, you'd walk out on me and them. You were scared of me leaving? I said. Then why cheat at all? Silence. I don't know, she said finally. It wasn't just one guy, Jason. It was. I don't even remember how it started. It just happened. One lie turned into another, and then I couldn't stop. I liked the attention. I liked feeling wanted. I felt sick. You mean you liked sneaking around while I was breaking my back working for this family? I didn't plan for it to go that far, she snapped. I didn't think you'd actually do a DNA test. Who does that? Someone who's been made a joke in his own damn house. She fell silent again. I didn't tell you this to hurt you, she finally muttered. No, you didn't tell me at all, I corrected. You hid it. You laughed at me behind my back. You let your sister humiliate me at Christmas. And you stood there like it was entertainment. Her face twisted. It was just a joke. It wasn't funny. She started crying then. Real or fake, I didn't care anymore. I'll do whatever you want, she whispered. Therapy. Apologies. DNA lies or not, you're still their dad. That's the only thing you got right, I said, standing up. They didn't lie to me. You did. Her eyes shot up to meet mine. So what? You're leaving? Just like that. I looked at her for a long moment. You remember that shirt Haley gave me? I asked. She blinked, confused. Top one loser in the world. That was the moment you showed me exactly what you thought of me. But now, I'm showing you what happens when a loser finally stops playing the fool. I walked out of the room. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say goodbye. I just left her there. In silence. With everything she destroyed. The next morning, I dropped the kids off at school like nothing had changed. Ava clung to my neck a little longer than usual. Emma kept glancing at me through the rearview mirror, like she could feel something was shifting. Lucas didn't say a word, but his silence was louder than anything. I smiled. I joked. I told them I'd see them after school. Then I watched them walk away, backpacks bouncing, unaware that everything behind them was already collapsing. By 9 a.m., I was sitting across from my lawyer, Angela Myers, a tough, no-nonsense woman who barely blinked when I laid everything out, DNA results, recordings, infidelity. You've got a hell of a case, she said, flipping through the folder I'd handed her. But this won't be quick. She's the biological mother. Courts favor that, especially if she fights dirty. I nodded. I expected that. Angela leaned back. You want full custody? I want those kids safe. And I want her nowhere near my finances. You're prepared for war? I looked her dead in the eyes. I've been in one for the last 3 years. I just didn't realize it. That afternoon, I went back to the house. Brittany was in the kitchen, sipping wine at 1:15 p.m. like the world wasn't burning down around her. You skipped work, she said, barely glancing up. I went to a lawyer. Her glass paused midair. You're serious. Dead serious. She laughed, short and bitter. So you're going to take me to court? You think a judge is going to believe your little sob story? I don't need a story, I said, setting the thick folder down on the counter. I've got evidence. And trust me, when I'm done, you'll wish you had just signed the damn papers. She stepped forward, rage flashing across her face. You think you can take my kids? They're not yours to weaponize. Oh, please, she hissed. You think this makes you some kind of hero? You're not their real dad. You're just the idiot who raised them. I leaned in, calm and cold. And they'll remember who was there every night. Every scraped knee. Every parent-teacher conference. They don't need my blood. They've got my heart. You've got a wine glass and a stack of lies. Brittany's hand twitched like she wanted to throw something. Instead, she picked up her phone and started texting furiously. Who are you calling? I asked. My lawyer. You're not the only one who can play this game. I smiled. Good. Tell her I'm keeping the house. And since you admitted to cheating multiple times, on tape, you're looking at a nightmare of a court battle. You'll regret this, she snapped. No, I said quietly. I regret not doing it sooner. She stormed off to the bedroom and slammed the door again. But this time, I didn't flinch. Instead, I opened the back closet and pulled out my old army duffel. I packed just the essentials, clothes, tools, a few photo albums I didn't want her hands on. Left the rest. As I zipped it shut, I heard her screaming on the phone, probably spinning some victim story to her attorney. That used to scare me. The thought of her manipulating the narrative, twisting the truth. Now I had nothing left to lose. I walked past the living room where she was pacing in circles. Where are you going? She shouted. To rebuild my life. She laughed. You'll come crawling back when no one else wants you. I turned at the door. I'd rather be alone than spend one more second with someone who smiled while breaking me. Then I walked out. And this time, I didn't look back. I crashed at my buddy Tyler's place that night. He's the kind of guy who never asks questions unless you're ready to talk. We sat on his back porch in silence for a while, passing a bottle of Jack between us. The stars were out, and the cold bit through my hoodie, but I welcomed it. It was honest. Sharp. Unlike the warmth I used to come home to a fake comfort masking rod underneath. "You good, man?" Tyler finally asked. I took a long swig before answering. "No, but I'm getting there." He nodded like he understood more than I said. The next few days were a blur. Meetings with Angela. Gathering paperwork. Pulling financial records Brittany didn't think I had access to. Turns out, she drained one of our joint accounts months ago. Used it to book yoga retreats, which were actually luxury weekend getaways with her flavor of the month boy toys. She was sloppy. Arrogant. She never expected me to look beneath the surface. And then came the real punch to the gut. Angela called on a Thursday afternoon. Her tone was off, too careful. "I received some additional information from our private investigator," she said. "Jason, there's something else you need to see." She sent me a file. Photos. Hotel logs. Receipts. But one image stopped me cold. It was a picture of Brittany, with Haley's husband, Derek, arm in arm. Lips locked in the valet line of some overpriced resort. I stared at that photo for a long time. My vision blurred, not from tears, but from the absolute disgust that crawled up my spine. My wife didn't just betray me. She betrayed her own sister. And then I remembered Christmas morning again. That shirt. That cruel joke. Haley's smug little remark, "Now she knows what real pleasure is." And Brittany's smirk. They weren't just making fun of me. They were mocking her too. Because Haley didn't know. She had no idea. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The next morning, I sent Haley an anonymous message. The photos. No words. No explanation. Just truth. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was Haley. Her voice cracked before she even said hello. "Who sent this?" "You don't know my number?" Pause. Then quiet sobbing on the other end. "Jason, is this real?" "I'm sorry," I said. "I didn't want to hurt you. But I figured you deserved the truth, same as me." She didn't say anything for a while. Then she whispered, "Thank you." We hung up, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No revenge-fueled rush. Just empty. A hollow kind of justice. Later that night, Brittany called me 23 times in a row. I let it ring. Over and over. Then came the texts. "What did you do?" "She knows." "Jason, she freaking knows." "You think this fixes anything? You've ruined everything." "No, Brittany. You did." I just opened the curtain. The house of cards she built? It was collapsing. And I wasn't holding it up anymore. By the time the court date arrived, the emotional chaos had gone quiet. Not because anything had settled, but because I had. I'd reached that cold, razor-sharp clarity that comes when the storm inside finally stops screaming. I showed up in a navy suit Brittany had bought me 2 Christmases ago, back when appearances still mattered to her. I didn't wear it for nostalgia. I wore it like armor. Like proof that I'd endured every humiliation, every lie, every insult, and still stood. She arrived 20 minutes late. Hair curled. Dressed like she was walking into brunch, not a custody hearing. She barely looked at me. But I saw the puffiness under her eyes, the strain in her forced smile. Haley wasn't with her. I figured that bridge had finally burned. Good. Let her taste the ash. Angela slid a thick folder across the polished table. "Everything's ready. She's going to try to play victim. Stay composed. We've got more than enough." And we did. The judge listened. Reviewed the DNA results. Heard the recordings. Watched the clips from our home cameras. Brittany drunk at noon, yelling at the kids, screaming at me. It was all there. Truth, stripped bare. Her lawyer tried. Oh, she tried hard. "Your Honor, Mr. Blake is attempting to punish my client out of bitterness. He raised those children as his own. The paternity is irrelevant to their emotional bond." The judge held up a hand. "Ms. Rivers, I don't need a speech. I've read the evidence. Let's not insult anyone's intelligence here. I didn't look at Brittany once during that hearing. I didn't need to." The judge ruled partial custody in my favor, with full financial control pending a final settlement. Brittany would have supervised visits until further notice. She broke down right there at the table. Snotty, ugly crying. A performance for the courtroom. I didn't flinch. Later, as I walked through the courthouse lobby, I heard her heels behind me, fast and desperate. "Jason, wait." I stopped. Slowly turned. She looked like hell. Mascara streaks, red eyes, trembling lip. "Please," she said, voice cracking. "Don't do this. We can fix it. We can go to therapy. The kids, they'll be fine," I said. "As long as you stay out of their heads." She reached for my hand, and I pulled back. No more lies, Brittany. No more games. You don't get to cry now after laughing at me for years. You don't get to want me now that the house is crumbling. But I love you, she whispered. I blinked, then laughed. A quiet, exhausted kind of laugh. You don't even know what love is. You love control. You love convenience. And now that it's gone, you're standing here begging like I'm your backup plan. Her face twisted with a flash of that old venom. You're still the loser. Maybe, I said. But at least I don't have to wake up every day pretending to be someone I'm not. She stepped closer. You'll regret this. No, I said calmly. You will. Every single day you look at those kids and remember who really raised them. Every single time you realize no man will ever trust you again. Not fully. Not after me. I turned to walk away. Jason, she called after me, voice shrill and shaking. Jason. I didn't stop. Didn't turn around. Because that chapter was closed. The pain? Still there.